we're really doing it here. We're really doing it.
I'm such a rookie, so I got to figure this out.
I know you're doing good. You're doing good. It took me a couple of days and weeks myself, but basically we've got this little box to play with, you know, and we get to teach from this little box. But this has been my teaching area for the last like 47 days. I feel like
this is so cool.
I know. So we'll give some folks a second to join in. I know I've got some ball players who are very excited just to learn from one of the best. And I have some girls that play softball, but I also have some girls that want to play baseball. So, you know, there's a little bit of both. And then there's some guys, too, that are joining as well, because pretty much everything crosses over between baseball and softball except the pitching. So, this is going to be one of my favorite Sandlots for sure. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. This is so fun. I'm so glad we're doing this.
I am too.
I've been itching to do something like this, and you pushed me over the edge.
I have got finally got you over the edge. And Toasty is here, one of my campers, Toasty, which is awesome.
I love it.
And everybody will have your questions at the end, say about 3:30 Pacific time, 6:30 Eastern. We'll answer any questions you might have. But for now, Sandlotters, you're probably looking on your phone or possibly on your computer. I just want to do a little stretching, and I'm going to let you lead the stretch here as if you were going to teach me a lesson. Amanda Freed, let's get stretched out. What should we get going here?
Well, first of all, we are very dynamic. If we're going to get into pitching, it's very movement oriented, a lot of trunk twisting, a lot of dynamic movement. So we don't want to do a lot of stand and stretch. We want to do a lot of moving around. I like doing trunk twists. I like to do maybe some side lunges.
Love those.
We really got to warm our legs up because we use them a lot. Baseball, softball, right?
Both of them. Legs is everything. I tell all my kids when I was playing college baseball, we would work out 75 to 80% legs and abs, and the rest of the time was everything else. And I came to realize that's what you use to hit. That's what you use to throw.
Oh, yeah.
But today is a special day because you're gonna teach me how to pitch. You're gonna teach me how to pitch like this, which is almost like trying to teach me how to throw with my opposite hand. It's probably even worse because I've just been born and raised to throw like this. So for that ball player that has pitched for 3, 4, 5 years, just hang in there. We're going to go step by step. But I think Gold Medalist Olympian Amanda Freed, if this is my first lesson with you and you're going to teach me how to pitch, just go with it. I'm your student here.
Oh my gosh. You want me to go for it right now?
Yeah, let's just, what is the first thing we want to know?
Wait, do you want me to tell you?
Yes. So Mrs. Ballgame actually has a beautiful underhand pitch. She practiced it all through college.
Oh.
Don't disappoint me.
Okay, one more.
Are you a lefty?
There it is. She almost broke my tripod, which is great.
Love you.
I mean, that's the gist of it, right? You guys
Exactly. So one more thing. I've also got us live on YouTube, El Tizzle in the house. If you want to see Amanda Freed, gold medal Olympian, then go to the Instagram live and you can find at Coach Ballgame, okay? If you don't have Instagram, then you can just listen on the YouTube. But yeah, fire away. We've done our stretching.
Yep.
And yeah, this is my first lesson with you on pitching. Where do we go from here?
Okay, so it's important to remember, I think whether you're a pitcher or a baseball player, that you don't have to be a certain size to be able to do it well. I think that that's kind of been a misunderstanding, especially as we've seen more on TV. You got to be that 6-foot pitcher. You got to be real strong. But that's not the case. You just have to be able to use what you have effectively. And I think it's important to remember that. So it's so much about timing and leverage and relaxation and whip and torque and all those awesome fundamental movements that don't really involve big, strong muscles. So anybody can do this. Anybody can do it well. You just got to work at it. So
perfect.
Good enough? Okay. So first thing we're going to start on is just the setup. So if you got to think about, if you're pitching to the target, everything you are starting with has to line up towards your target. And I think you're going to start to see that a lot of this is directly the same as baseball, whether you're going overhand or underhand. You've got to target. You've got to get every part of your body moving in that direction. So you've got to set yourself up to move in that direction. So both toes facing towards the catcher, towards home plate. And I have my little net set up this direction because we're going to get to this part. But straight at your target, my shoulders and my knees and my toes are all facing my target. So you have to present the ball. It doesn't matter what kind of big, fancy backswing, any of that movement you have in your pre-motion. It's just important to remember the bigger pre-motion you have, the more in tune to the timing coming through you have to be. So it's easier to be off time if you got a lot of movement than if you keep it nice and efficient and straight.
So for the younger ball players, the ones not as experienced, keep it simple at the beginning, huh?
Super simple. Keep it compact. Keep it short. Be nice and long and lengthy. So let's just think about a nice, short, easy drop right here. When you come forward with your arm, so right now my right foot is facing forward with my throwing arm. So that's the lead foot because I'm going to stride forward with my left foot if you're a righty and your right foot if you're a lefty.
Right.
So yes. Okay. So back here, when you come forward, your knee and your arm, if you can see my knee and my arm, are working together. So that's a really good timing mechanism to remember. No matter how big and long you are or short, as you come through, that knee and the arm have to come through up and out together.
Gotcha.
Okay. So from the side view, I'll scoot back a little bit.
Perfect.
I'll scoot down a little bit so we could see. You tell me how that camera
so we
angle.
could see. Yeah, we want to be able to see the lower half, the footwork as well.
Okay. Can you see me? I'm going to do my footwork for just a second if I can manage this.
Perfect. Guys, you're about to learn how to pitch from one of the best of all time, Amanda Freed. That's perfect. I can see you perfectly.
Okay.
My target is here, so here we go.
Okay. So presentation, right foot forward here, nice short here. And then as you come forward, everything starts to come forward at the same time. So rock back and everything starts to come forward. So from the side, back here, I get a good lean, a good attack position, and everything starts to come forward at the same time.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Give me that lean forward again. At that lean forward, do I feel that?
Like a sprinter's position.
I like it.
Here, boom, out at that hitter.
Gotcha. I almost feel like I'm about ready to start sprinting, and this is where my power's gonna push off into that pitch.
So if you're straight, you don't have a lot of push. You end up pulling yourself. But if you get that knee in front of the toe, you have a better push off.
Ooh, knee in front of the toe. Write that down. I got a lot of players with some notebooks. Write that down, knee in front of the toe.
Okay. So knee in front of the toe, nice and short, come through, and everything's going to come into a big open position. So your hips right now are going to be at about a 45-degree angle. So you're not going to go straight at the catcher, but you're not going to be totally open here.
Right, because in baseball, we start here, and then we're 90 degrees to there.
Yes.
That's a key difference here, whereas we're facing. And then at this moment here, you said 45 degrees to the target?
Yep, nice firm front leg, a little bit straighter with your back leg.
Nice. Boom. And is this, as far as breaking it down in simple terms, is this one of the, because everybody has a little bit different flavor, different style, but would you say this is a position, a checkpoint we all need to get to?
Yep, absolutely. I would say that attack position is one. So you disregard all this funny dipping stuff that everybody does, but this is probably your first checkpoint. and then this when you start to come forward, and then when you toe touch. So it's kind of like in any swing, baseball, softball, and I would imagine for a baseball pitcher, it matters where your arm is when the toe touches.
Yep.
So same thing with softball. To get all the leverage and generate as much torque and power out of your pitch as possible, your arm has to be in a good slot right here in a downward movement when that front foot hits the ground.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Could you back up that way just a little bit more? I want everybody to be able to see the full thing. Perfect. So just give us a throw, and let's see if we can see this in full motion.
So attack and throw.
Love that. So one more. So I'm this is the attack, and then this checkpoint right here is called what?
Typical like open position, a big K, X, anywhere that you feel like your glove, again, it's like you're setting yourself up to your target. The glove is at the target, and it's setting kind of up. Just want to make sure my volume is all the way up. Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Arm out here, and then come through that back side. So it's important also to use that front leg nice and firm so you can throw against it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like baseball, hitting, right? If you think about contact, our contact or our release point is just the same as baseball contact. So we're getting here at release just like a baseball player would or a softball player would at that baseball contact, because that's where you're strongest in your legs and you have the most power and flexibility through your snap.
I love that. I love it. I love it. So let's go ahead and get through the entire motion, and then I really like this little thing here. Maybe you can teach us a drill that we can work on that release point.
Yeah.
But first, kiddos, are you ready? Maybe you got a sock. Maybe you're throwing it against the wall. Maybe you're outdoors with a net. But let's get to that attack position, and then you take us from there, Amanda.
All right, so getting that good load attack position and through and all the way around. So make sure when you land on your front foot, you're ready to throw against that front side.
And is this back foot, when I release the ball, is it coming through? How high up is it going?
You know, it doesn't, for me, I feel like it's important that it comes up off the ground a little bit because it's activating your release point.
Right.
But it doesn't have to come straight up into a figure four. Like a lot of people teach a figure four. It doesn't have to be a figure four, but you do want to throw against your front side.
Perfect. I want to, maybe, do you have anything to work that specific skill of just releasing it against the front side, something the kiddos can work on at home?
Yeah, super easy. So I'll set it up. So one thing that I love to do is just release snaps. So I'll get myself in a good release position here, hold my glove out front, because we don't want to release back.
Right.
Our hip right here, we want to get through to this empty space right here. So I'll just release and work right here, right into my glove. So it's getting repetition, repetition, repetition. And then I'll also do that into the catcher. So I'll practice my rotation, but it's getting a lot of short, quick repetition. Yeah.
But the release should be happening right here by the leg.
It's in front of the leg. So what you don't want to happen is you don't want that elbow or your arm to contact your hip or to stop at release right there. So if you think get to your release, you're going to have a lot of interference with your hip instead of getting through your release point. So your release, you want to actually be in that open space, like right in here.
Gotcha.
That hip.
It's so amazing the correlation with baseball as far as the legs go. Is like with pitching overhand, you're loading up in the back leg, but then you're pushing off that firm front side.
Yeah.
Here, very, very similar. We're just coming from a different angle. Let's talk a little bit about accuracy or hitting spots. Maybe just a beginner's guide to hitting that spot, Amanda.
So I would first, especially with softball pitching, we get caught up a lot in throwing a whole bunch of pitches because they're a lot of fun to throw. So we can throw fastballs and changeups and screwballs and curveballs and drops and rides and off speeds, but we forget how important the locations are.
Right.
So make sure that you master locations on a few of your pitches before you start to move on and explore other pitches. So I like to just, it's basically like throwing a fastball. So just start throwing your fastball, locating your fastball right down the middle. You know when you're on target, you know when you're hitting your spot, and then just start moving it to the corners. And I like to have my pitcher just imagine if you were to take that home plate and just move it over 6 inches. And then you're just throwing down the middle of that plate that's on the outside corner. Take the same thing, shift it to the inside, and then throw right down the heart of the plate. And then pretty soon you get accustomed to hitting those targets. Move on to your off-speed pitch and then to another pitch, but just make sure that you're always, focus is kind of thrown around, but
I like for my guys when I'm working on hitting spots, because the damage is done in the middle of the plate. That's when the hitters are at their most confident. So I like to draw an imaginary line and have them visualize that line. And instead of always stepping down the same line or taking their body down the exact same line, just adjust that line a little bit. That way you're not trying to aim it to the different sides. You're not trying to place it on the corners. You're throwing it down a line every single time. I love how you said it. You just set the home plate over here, and now you're just busting through that line. Yeah. Great. This is super, super good stuff. A quick show of hands. Any questions from my students as far as pitching goes? Because I want to get into some hitting as well. We have a lot of hitters here today. But Toasty, you're in the house on Instagram. Little Tizzle's in the house. Just type in your questions, and we will get to it. But what else do we need to really hit on this first pitching lesson? What have we left out, Amanda?
Well, you were talking about that front leg. And so I went over the release point. So when it comes to that front leg, establishing that the front foot has a lot to do with what your hips do and what your shoulders end up doing. So making sure when you land, your front foot's at a good 45-degree angle and not to 90-degree or straight. You want it to be at that 45 degrees. So if I'm stepping at you, it's going to be nice and level. So that leaves a lot of flexibility for the knee also, and good tension on that front side. But it puts the hip in a nice 45-degree angle. So just doing something as simple as getting into that open. So this is the middle of our wind up. So just getting into this position, maybe start here, come up, and then practice coming into that front side.
But is that front toe being at 45 degrees helping us to not fly open?
Yes.
That's the idea there? Perfect. So if we start at this position and then just, boom, bring that backside through into the release.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But even more important than that is making sure it's not too flat sideways, so the side of the foot at the catcher, because that'll block you off from a strong release also. So you want to give yourself a little bit of flexibility through the release point and not be too much throwing against it.
Right. So we don't want to be, we don't want to be here, and we don't want to be straight on. We want that nice angle for room for power. Yep. Awesome. I'm going to ask a question. Now, anybody, and there are no bad questions, by the way, little Toasty, no bad questions. But let's go with this. A lot of my gals, they're used to playing with that smaller baseball, and then they've got to go up to the bigger softball. Is it difficult to throw that big ball? Any tips on that?
It would be difficult if you're used to throwing a baseball, for sure, and depending on the size of your hand. But the way that we age up with the ball is we start with a ball that's about the size of a baseball. So that 6U ball is, I should know this, 10-inch. Is a 10-inch ball, and then it goes to 11-inch, and then it moves up to the 12-inch. So I would take a 10-inch softball and just start there, and then gradually increase it. Because once you get used to one size, moving up the next isn't that big of a deal. and then you learn to make those adjustments. So I would just kind of, you can start with the baseball. Start throwing that baseball underneath and then gradually work up to a little bit, the smaller softball, a little bit bigger than that, and then go full size if you're at that age.
If they're inside, I love this drill here where the glove is pointed to the target, the toe is 45 degrees, and they're at this position. How much of the power is in the back leg versus the front leg at this moment right here?
They're pretty equal.
Okay.
If you don't use your backside, then you're completely throwing all upper body.
Right.
Exactly. So I like to think of the back arm and my back leg working together to throw against that front side. So one can't move quick without the other moving quick. So you have to, it's not the strength so much in the back leg as it is the quickness of it. So when you're in this position up here, if this is a long, slow drag, you can't expect your arm to be fast. So
right.
a quick drag on that back side, then that arm's going to be able to come through a lot quicker.
Love it. Last thing for me is I'm feeling pretty good now. I feel like as a starter,
good.
I've got the good attack point. What do we call this position here?
Open, X, K. It's been called a number of different things. We'll call it the X position. X
position, and then boom, I know I need to be quick and release it out front. What about a follow through as far as maybe a checking point or checking my boxes off? What are you thinking about after the release of the softball?
Yeah, so that's a good question because there's a lot of instructors that go straight palm up, fingers towards the face, and then there's a lot who still turn over. So the hand naturally wants to fall over. So you're quicker when you're relaxed and your hand will naturally come over, but you want to make sure when you do snap the ball that your fingers are behind it. So just to get up a little bit closer, your fingers are here when you're coming through the ball. And then as you snap it and release, the hand's going to kind of just turn over into a more neutral position. So it'll wind up looking, am I on your screen? A little bit dark. So when you're finished here, the hand snaps and then kind of releases out front.
Everything looks so loose. I'm guessing you're not gripping that ball too tight, are you?
No, not at all. Not at all. So super loose. You got to be able to get it out of your fingers quickly to get any velocity on it. So as loose as you can hold it while still maintaining a good grip.
I love it. Hey, let's go with this question from Manchester Rebecca. Why do they call it softball if it's just as hard as a baseball? Good question.
That's a good one. I don't know. I've been hit by softballs and they're not soft. So
no, not at all.
What would you call it though? I don't know.
You'd call it like a slightly larger ball, but that's too long. Before we get to a little bit of hitting tips, you played at the highest level. You've played in the Olympics. You've pitched against the best softball players of all time. Just mentally, for that 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, just as much time as you'd like, but what is going to, let's say they've got the physical know-how and their ability is great in practice, but then come game time, come Olympics time, come championship time, maybe they're feeling a little nervous or that difference between the practice version and the game. Hit on that mental side of being just as good in the game as in practice.
Well, when you go into a game, you just got to be confident in the work that you put in, and you're going to be at your best and you're going to learn and develop when you just put it all out there. I think I had to learn how to do it without fearing that I was going to make a mistake or make that error, because we're all going to do it. So it's the quicker you can rebound from that makes you great and helps you to learn and develop. So it's good. Butterflies are good. I remember the butterflies in some of those big games. Like I can still feel them in my throat where you feel like I can't swallow. I can hardly breathe. How in the world am I ever going to be able to get through this situation? And you kind of learn to embrace it. So when you feel them, just acknowledge it and don't get caught up in that as being a bad thing. It's a good thing. It means you really enjoy what you're doing. You're excited about the opportunity and you're building up that adrenaline and you're ready to go to the next level. So I love that. If you don't have that, if you don't get nervous when you're on the field, then maybe it's not the thing for you. I don't know. I love those butterflies.
That's a good point. And yeah, I think we get in our own way when we reject or we try to combat or dismiss or be in denial that, no, I'm not feeling that right now. I don't feel those feelings in practice. I shouldn't feel them in the game. You should feel nervous in the game. You are feeling nervous in the game. And that's a good thing. I've heard some coaches say, just embrace those nerves, embrace those, and then good things will happen. But I think a huge key to that is you can't be afraid of failure. You can't be afraid of losing. Especially as a pitcher, you can't be afraid of making a bad pitch. That's going to happen.
Yep.
You've got to stay mentally on the offensive. So, super. Now, some of you might know this, maybe not, but you were an excellent hitter as well. So I'd love for you to just kind of give me your first take on a first hitting lesson. Let's say I'm coming to you, and folks, by the way, she doesn't just teach softball. She's also calling games. She's an announcer, and she's got a podcast, and she's just one of the best of all time. But I really, and I'll jump in first, and then you can kind of go piggyback on it if you wish. But for me, it doesn't matter if you play softball, basketball, soccer, football, whatever sport you're playing, volleyball. At the moment of music, when the music happens, when you hit the volleyball, when you kick the soccer ball, when you hit the softball, you've got to be in your strongest, most powerful position, a position where nobody can push you over. So for me, just being balanced and being in good foundation is super important to me. And maybe you can speak on that when you're teaching balance or foundation. How do you teach that to your kids?
Well, I try to keep everything just kind of neutral and something that everybody can benefit from and succeed with. So I always just like a very relaxed, like you said, balance. So if I can make a quick movement from this position, then I'm pretty balanced. But if I really widen my stance, so I'm off here, my arms, if I'm too wide and out of my center of gravity, then I don't feel like I can make good decisions and quick decisions. So I like it just a pretty like neutral stance where I feel strong in my legs, and same with my arms. I'm just going to kind of keep them in this area right here. You're not going to believe it. I don't have a bat out here. I'm going to use a broomstick.
I love it. I love it. Everybody should be using whatever they can find, broomsticks or whatever.
We were out with sticks the other day. Okay.
I love it. So you've got a good foundation where you can make a quick move at any point. Now the ball gets on you quick. Imagine you're pitching to yourself. I mean, you don't have much time to react. So what kind of preparation do you need to do prior to the release of the pitch?
Well, I have to trust my eyes, first of all. So we don't have a lot of time to react. And so for any softball player who tells you, I saw it out of the hand, I read the spin, I saw the movement, we don't see any of that stuff. You see it out of the hand, and then as it gets to you, you have to decide whether you've made the right decision or not. So in my mind, I'm always thinking, yes, 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 it's going to be a strike, and then I've got to hold myself up at the last minute. Because other than that, it's just, I'll strike out every time. You know?
That's great. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And I know a lot of young hitters will go up to the batter's box thinking, no, 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 and then at the last second, yes. No, you've got to be yes, 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 and at the last second, no.
Yep.
So it's on you super quick. You're trusting your eyes. I mean, and I've never faced you. I think I want to one day just to really humble myself. But the key to a quick swing, I mean, how do I get this barrel to that spot that quick? Run with that.
Yeah, so the swing is very similar to baseball. The path is very similar. There's no chop down. I mean, we're talking a whole bunch about launch angles too in softball now. Like, the game has changed a lot, and people are starting to realize that it's the same swing. You're just adjusting to different pitches and making better decisions at pitches. So to get my hands to the pitch, I've got to make sure that my barrel is drawing a straight line to that ball. So if I'm taking detours around, I'm not going to have enough time to meet this pitch. So I've got to
that barrel's getting stuck behind you like that, yeah.
Yep, so I've got to come through, boom, and meet the ball on that quickest spot possible. So I'm short to it is a term we use a lot, short to, long through. So my barrel on path quick, and then extend through to my follow through.
Something I've been watching a lot of is a couple of hitters that try to keep their barrels super close to their head. And Mike Trout is a perfect example. His barrel is so tight to his head, whatever load that he does, whatever preparation that happens, the ball is on you super quick. So he literally goes from barrel to the head to bang, just a rotation, an uncoiling, and the barrel is here. And say there's a wall or something behind him, that bat's not going to hit that wall because everything, boom, it just moves there in a split second. And
definitely,
honestly, it's less time for you guys. You guys are much shorter to each other with the fastball, especially. I want to end on off speed. You see a lot of off speed in softball. With that short of reaction time, do you even have a chance to hit that off speed? How do you approach hitting those changeups?
Well, so it's actually not, I'm not going to say easy, but it's not as hard as you would think, because I don't think there are that many pitchers who really take pride in their off-speed pitch, which is a note to pitchers out there. That is the single best pitch that you can master. I'm not just saying throw it, because we all throw it. You have to master that pitch and see what it does to hitters and get it to a point where you can throw it in any count, because then I can't guess when you're going to throw it. If you give me if you're going to throw it in the counts that I expect you to throw it, 0-1 pitch, 0-2, then I'm guessing changeup, and then I'm thinking right side, and I'm going to foul off anything else.
Right.
Right side, when I think a changeup is coming, I'm going to be able to protect the off-speed pitch. I can protect the outside corner, and then I'm fast enough to foul off the inside if you bring it in there. But if you're going to throw me that changeup, 3 balls, no strikes, or 3-2, or any count where I'm not expecting it, it is probably the most difficult pitch to lay off of.
Well, I mean, just generalizing everything, if you've taught yourself how to be quick, and that means that you've got a good foundation, good balance, you've taught yourself how to go from A straight to B, and that's a lot of practice. That's just you off of a tee, hitting into a net a lot.
Yep.
If you've taught yourself that, then you give yourself the confidence to say, okay, I'm ready for the fastball. Wait a second, that looks a little bit different. I can hang tight and still get to that changeup right here. I think a huge key is just your work ethic and practice. And I know you've got some lessons to get to, but I would love to pick your brain to close our session out with just work ethic. And how did you prepare, and how should this next generation prepare if they want to be great?
Well, I think actually this time right now is a pretty good test, because we don't have a lot put in front of us. So we've got broomsticks and sticks, and if you're lucky, a net and a few balls, and you've got to get creative. And my favorite thing, even today in the whole world, is a ball and a wall. And just pounding the wall and challenging myself. And honestly, little things like that is really what made me, I think, as good as I was. It was doing the work, and I know everybody says it, do the work and nobody's looking and outwork everybody, but if you love it and you make it fun, then it's not really the kind of hard work that you imagine it to be. But you gotta find ways to make it fun and creative and get yourself excited about the game. And
I love that.
It doesn't have to be a traditional kind of play catch, throw a bullpen. It can be anything you want it to be, just ball handle.
That's right. No, and we're here every day at the Sandlot working a different skill, and we're creating stuff as we go too. Me and other coaches as well. We created this thing called the pterodactyl drill yesterday, where we're trying to just toss the ball back and forth, and we kind of look like a pterodactyl, but it's really helping us exchange from ball in the glove to in the hand to quickly exchange. So I would totally agree. This is the time to become a dreamer, to really start dreaming, to get creative. You talked about cliches, but fall in love with those cliches. Don't just do those cliches. Fall in love with them. Become great at those cliches. Yeah. And then they're not cliches anymore. They're just stepping stones to becoming great. So this was so cool. I know we're just breaking the surface. There's so much we could talk about, but is there any last questions, kids? Toasty, Little Tizzle, Knott's Berry Farm, Rookie, anybody that has any questions for me or for Amanda before we log off today, as she's got some lessons and I've got trivia tonight. So you guys should come. And,
I saw that. Awesome.
And, yeah, we should join some of that. How to dream, step one, go to sleep. Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, you definitely need some sleep. That's for sure. Well, this is super cool. And thank you so much for doing this, Amanda.
Yeah,
this is great. Did you play with Jessica Mendoza?
I did. I played with Jessica in travel ball when we were in high school, and then we played against each other in college when she went to Stanford and I was at UCLA, and then on the national team, yeah, for about like 9 years on the national team. So I got a whole bunch of Mendoza.
Oh, a whole bunch of Mendoza. Toughest batter you ever faced?
Toughest batter? Ooh. Oh my gosh. So Krystal Bustos, I don't know if that name rings a bell with anybody, but she was probably the biggest hitter. And the reason why she was so tough to face, and there was a bunch of them, the scrappy hitters are always the toughest ones, but Krystal Bustos was the best bad ball hitter. So you would think you had her set up and you could throw a ball on the tops of her toes and she could hit it out of the ballpark. Yep. And I remember vividly, like, this is how good she was in a USA tryout, throwing her a curveball, and I literally, in slow motion, watched it break right off the end of her bat, and I about wet myself thinking she was going to hit it back at me. But she's just one of those hitters that you don't ever want to face, especially with runners on base or when it matters.
Well, I'm telling you, and I tell my kids this all the time, when I was pitching, the only hitters that kind of scared me were the ones whose bat would stay in the hitting zone forever. So
yeah.
How do I miss that bat when it gets to the zone quick and it just stays there forever?
Yeah.
And those are the bad ball hitters, because their bat can just stay in that plane forever. Mrs. Ballgame wants to know who the best roommate you ever had in college was.
The best dance instructor I've ever had was Mrs. Ballgame.
That's
Not
for
that
sure.
My skills have paid off today, but she was a pretty good roommate.
So cool. It's so crazy how you guys were roommates, and then she marries a baseball coach, and now here we are doing this thing.
Been so
on quarantine day 112.
Oh, is it really?
No, I've lost.
It feels like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for this epic time, and folks, follow her, Amanda Freed. Go see what she's doing. Listen to her podcast, and whenever games start back up, you'll be calling some games, won't you?
You know, that's the plan. Hopefully this summer, God, if we can get some in the end of the summer, if not for sure next college season, which I think is just going to be an epic season. Everyone's waiting for it.
Yep. I'll end on this one because Little Tizzle is, she's been coming to a lot of my Sandlots. She said, were you scared on your first game?
Oh, so good question. The first game that I pitched in, I cried. So this is not a lie. Like, my mom was my coach, and I was a little bit younger, but I wanted to be a pitcher because everybody did. So she's like, oh, I'll put you in their circle. And I didn't throw a single pitch. I cried, and I was taken out. And then I became a catcher. And then I went back to pitching, and then one thing led to another, and it worked out. But yeah, I was scared. I was nervous. I still don't like spotlight. There's a lot of things that are funny that just kind of work out the way that they do, but definitely scared.
You grew out of that. That's for sure.
I grew out of it. Yes.
You went to the highest stage.
Yep.
The first time I pitched, I didn't cry, but I made 8 other kids cry because I hit 8 straight batters. So I honestly, I don't think you can get any worse than the 2 stories you just heard, Little Tizzle.
All uphill. You're great.
Yeah, you'll do better than us, and it really is all about just progressing every single day, every year, get a little bit better. And I just got better today, thanks to you, Amanda.
Thanks for having me. This is
Absolutely.
awesome.
Love that fam of yours.